水上好. Hope you guys are doing well. So today we're going to go over lesson 2, which is called 你是哪国人? And I think you guys know what that means because we actually went over it a little bit yesterday or the other day in class. So we'll jump right in. So last week we talked about the pronouns in lesson 1, 我, 你, and 他. This week we're going to make them plural. So to make these plural, it's actually really, really easy. You're just going to add mun on the end. Mun and mun. So 我 is I, 我们, we. 你 is you, 你们, you all. 他 is he, she, or it. 他们 is they. They the girls, they the boys, they the girls and the boys, or they the things. So we're going to be using these a lot in our sentences now. One thing to keep in mind is when we start adding plurals to a sentence, when we start talking instead of just about me or just about you, about we or they or you all, there's a word in Spanish that we use a lot, and that's the word in Mandarin we use a lot, and that is do, and it's used to refer to more than one. So it's translated as all and also both. So it kind of has two different meanings in English. Like it can be translated depending on the scenario. It always occurs before the verb or the verb phrase, and it never goes before a noun. So it does not go before a noun. It does go before verbs. And you don't need to memorize this, all the grammar stuff, and if you don't get it, it's not a big deal. So here are a couple of examples. 我们都是法国人，你们都是学生，他们都不是老师. So we are all French, or we all French people. You are all students. They are all not teachers. One quick thing I want you to look at is the order of this. So you'll see I switched these, and it's not a mistake. It's on purpose. So the do can go before or after the bu. But think about what the difference in translation might be, because they mean very different things. Let me erase this to get it out of our way here. So we have 他们都不是老师. What does that mean? Think about that. And 他们不都很高. Gao is one of our new words. Gao means tall. So 他们都不是老师 means they are all not teachers. They are all not teachers. 他们不都很高 means they are not all tall. But this one implies there are tall people, but not everyone's tall. So there's some tall, some short. This one, 他们都不是老师 means they are all not teachers. So there's not one single teacher. This one, some are tall, but not all are tall. This one, no one is the teacher. 都不, all not. None of them are teachers. 不都, not all of them are tall. That's tricky. We're going to practice that in class, but hopefully you guys kind of get what I'm saying there. So in Mandarin, when we ask where, we're going to use the question word na. We already know the question word ma, which goes at the end of the sentence, and that makes a regular sentence a question, like 我是学生, I am a student. 我是学生吗? Am I a student? It makes it into a question. Na means which, and we learned this with nǎguó, which means which country. And so you guys already know this question because we did it yesterday in class. It's also the name of the chapter, but 你是哪国人? Which country are you from, or which country person are you, or in other words, what's your nationality? Where are you from? So let's take a look at a couple examples here. 你是哪国人? 我是法国人. This guy, he's talking. 我是法国人. He's a French guy. Said I'm a French guy. Now we're going to talk about this girl. 她是哪国人? 她是中国人. Little spelling issue. Sorry, that's 国. 她是哪国人? You notice this one I use 哪, na, and 哪 are the same thing. They're just two different accents in Chinese. Well, you'll see na most of the time, and that's what we'll use a lot in class. But both of these are totally acceptable. Both of them are totally understandable, so both work. And finally, 他们是哪国人，他们都是美国人. And you can see I used the do there because we're talking about two people. 他们都是美国人. Okay? One easy thing you're going to notice in Chinese is, let's take a look at the sentence. 他是哪国人，他是中国人. How about this one? 他们是哪国人，他们都是美国人. So it's really simple because the sentences, if you start to notice this, are exactly the same. All we're doing is filling in the information exactly where the question word is. So you don't have to rephrase the question, you don't have to change everything up. You're literally taking out the question, which is nǎguó, and putting in the country. And we'll be practicing a ton in class. Okay? And the last little thing I want you guys to think about is following up with ne. So we have these questions. These are the same questions we just did. 你是哪国人？我是法国人。他是哪国人？他是中国人。他们是哪国人？他们都是美国人。And remember, this is 国. And we could add a nina at the end. So 你是哪国人？我是法国人。你呢？ What about you? And what am I asking about? Well, I'm asking back to you the same question as what was asked to me. So if you ask me where I'm from and I say 我是法国人, and then say back to you, 你呢? You know I'm also asking you, where are you from? 他是哪国人？他是中国人。你呢? What about you? And it doesn't always have to be 你. For example, with 他们是哪国人？他们都是美国人. Okay, they're all American. But what about him? 他呢? What about that guy? What about that girl? And so this is a follow-up question. Okay? And it saves a lot of time because instead of repeating this entire question, you can just say, what about him? 他呢? What about you? 你呢? Them? What about them? 他们呢? Great. And so here I have a couple cartoons I made for us that kind of review everything we talked about today. So we'll start with this top one. So we have this guy and this girl, and he goes, 你好吗? And she says, 我很好，你呢？我也很好，谢谢，再见. So you can see this girl used the follow-up question to ask him, well, how are you? So in this case, it's not like what we just practiced with the where are you from. In this case, he said, 你好吗? That's the question. She says, 我很好，你呢? So she's following up that same question, and he answers it. 我也很好，谢谢，再见. And let's see how we use it on the bottom. So down here we have 你好，你是哪国人？我当然是美国人，你呢? So in this case, he also used the Nina, and he's following up on her question, which is not 你好吗? In this case, it's 你是哪国人? So she answers his question. 我也是美国人. And he says, 我们都是美国人. Last little vocab word. Something to look up in your book. He uses the word 当然. 当然 means of course. So why does he say of course? Well, he says of course I'm American because he's holding an American flag. He's very, very proud of his American roots. He's showing it off with his little flag. And so when she asks him, where are you from? He says, of course I'm American. That's why I'm waving my little American flag. Great. That's all I have for you today, guys. I'll see you tomorrow in class. Have a good night. 再见.